Hello, friends. I am Caitlin Smithcourse. I am a Reiki master and a tarot intuitive. And this week I'm doing the weekly energy reading a little bit different in that I am doing it as more of a podcast type of style where I'm not doing a live video on Facebook. I'm not doing a pre-recorded video. I am just doing the voice recording so that you can listen to it on the go. You don't have to worry about looking at the cards. I'm just going to be explaining all of the beautiful energies that we are looking at for this week ahead. So, to start off, this is the week of March 14th, and we have Mercury joining Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. And this is a beautiful energy, especially considering we have the upcoming spring equinox, and that will be on March 20th. And so if you are from where I live, we had to deal with the whole time change and resetting the clocks, and it really can throw our schedule off. But this really does bring in, with the spring equinox, some beautiful energy. So anyway, back to Mercury joining Jupiter in Pisces. Mercury, the planet, is about setting powerful intentions. The Mercury itself just feels like a powerhouse in some ways. And so this can be a really good time for looking at where you want your life to be headed. What do you want to see for yourself in your future? So setting those powerful intentions now. And Jupiter is all about manifestation. Jupiter is about abundance, making those manifestations come to fruition. It's also, they're both in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is about creativity and intuition. So these planets together, about setting the powerful intentions and being able to manifest, with them being in Pisces, it's saying that we can really create anything we desire. So getting crystal clear on those, what we want to be bringing in, and then working on living in, breathing in that energy of, I'm already there. I've already attained these things because I know that they're coming for me. I have that confidence. So I feel like adding some fiery confidence in there could be really good. Now, I do have to say that there is some indication that communication may be challenging this week. I pulled the Seven of Wands in the Light Seer Tarot deck that I have. And she's sitting there with her hands in this prayer position or this meditation position, and she's almost has this orb or this bubble around her, like she's set this bubble of light protection, and there's these wands that look like they're coming at her to try to poke through that bubble, but that bubble is so strong. She is so set on those intentions, and that I am the master of my own energy, and I am not allowing anybody else to affect my well-being. So setting some maybe clear intentions on mastering your own energy could be really good for some of you this week. And blocking out people's maybe negative comments or negativity in general. I feel like many people are empaths, or they're very sensitive to other people's energy. And simply saying something like, even if you say it to yourself, if somebody's communicating with you and you don't like what they're saying, you don't even have to respond to them. You can simply in your head say, I do not receive that, and then be done with it. Walk away from it. Protect yourself energetically. That might be really good for some of you. So, along with the spring equinox that is on March 20th, the equinox is really a marker point. So we have transits, things that are going on energetically with the planets, which are really like waves of energy. And then we have things like the equinox, which is more of a marker point. This is a point of new beginnings. The earth and the sun are in such a position that the days and the nights are equal. So this is the marker point. And this was very important for ancient cultures, ancient traditions. We have many monuments or various, the giant rocks that are ancient that have so much symbolism. But they also indicated different things going on with the planets, and specifically the spring equinox was shown with places like in Machu Picchu, the Great Sphinx in Egypt. I believe that the sun would appear on the Sphinx's shoulder at the spring equinox. There is a place in Mexico, and I think it's pronounced Chichen Itza, where the Mayans had made this pyramid shape, and on the spring equinox, the light pattern made a snake shape, and snakes are huge in cultures and traditions. You even think about the kundalini, that the energy itself might travel in more of an S shape. So it's like energy starting to really flow again in this time of year where there is the new beginnings. You think about springtime and there's the flowers starting to come up and blossom. We have a lot of babies being born. You think about seeing in nature all the animals, the mothers and their babies. And I just think it's such a beautiful and positive time of the year because we know that we're heading into the warmer days and that we have all of these new beginnings coming in. And just as the sun and the earth come into that position, so there's equal days and nights, people ourselves have that ability to have an equality of equal light and dark energy, equal masculine and feminine. I mean, there's times when, just like with the earth, there might be a little bit more masculine or a little bit more feminine or a little bit more light and a little bit more dark. But we do have that duality and we do have that balance, which I think is important to point out. I pulled the number 11 Justice card, and most of the time on the Justice card in tarot anyway, there is some type of balance happening. There's usually like a scale. And so I do think that that's important, that with the symbolism here of spring, of the light and dark, the masculine, the feminine, the equal day and night coming into balance. And then we have the number 13, Death and Rebirth card. And the rebirth card, the rebirth word, I should say, is so important because with that winter time, we had more of the death energy of things. Things were dying off, resting, changing. And now they're being rebirthed into something new. It's that phase of the new beginning finally. So I think I think that the representation of these cards that came out is so beautiful with what's going on with the earth and energetically. On March 20th, we're heading into Aries season, which is also the start of the astrological year or the zodiac year. So Aries starts the zodiac or astrology wheel. So with it being the essentially the new year, astrologically or zodiac speaking, it's again that feeling of new beginnings. And so that goes along right with the energy of spring coming. Some people might feel like now is a good time to start thinking about what they would have thought about maybe around January 1st with that new year of like the calendar. So, New Year's resolutions. Now might be a good time to reevaluate that, with it being the start of a new zodiac cycle, maybe these new beginnings. So, thinking about what we can clear out, especially with March 18th being the full moon in Virgo. So, full moons are a good time for clearing out, releasing, and that's right before the 20th, which is the spring equinox. And I know that many people think that new moons are like prime time for manifestation. Well, there are a lot of other times that are really good for manifestation. Any time is good, really, but with spring coming, it feels that now is another good time to really evaluate what we want to bring new and fresh into our life, instead of maybe in the dead of winter, the end of December, beginning of January. Sometimes it's hard mentally, emotionally for us to start anew without that sun component adding in that little burst of happiness that some of us need, especially if you have seasonal depression and things like that. So, on to the full moon in Virgo. It's also called the worm moon, and many natives and farmers are really associated with naming all of these different moons. And if you think about it, the soil is warming up. You do start to see the worms popping out and everything. So that's just indicating with the worm moon that the soil's starting to get warmer finally. With the full moon being in the sign of Virgo, Virgo is more of that earth energy, but they do also have that component of an active mind. So when I think of Virgo, I think of like earth and a little bit of air for some reason. That's just me personally, but I feel like a lot of Virgos that I meet are very much in their head. I feel like they're pretty practical and down to earth in a lot of ways, but I do feel like they might be the analyzers and the thinkers a lot more of the earth signs than more so than maybe like a Taurus, maybe, just generally speaking. So with the full moon being in Virgo and the sun still being in Pisces for the time being, before we step into Aries season, when we have a full moon, we have an opposition between the sun and the moon. So that's really, again, that aspect of duality. So how can we balance things in our life like work and service, or spirituality and practicality? How can we have an even balance of diving into our intuition and diving into our spiritual practices, while also doing important things like maintaining our house and going to work and doing the day-to-day stuff that also needs to be accomplished, apart from the metaphysical, spiritual aspects that we might have in our life. The full moon in Virgo will also be trining with Pluto, which can indicate an emotional increase. Pluto is in Capricorn, so we might notice a sensitivity happening. We might start having emotional revelations, maybe related to work, because Capricorns are usually really hard workers. So maybe there might be some things happening at work that you might start feeling some strong emotions about. And strong emotions are not negative, they're just information for you that needs to be interpreted, right? So you have this emotion, and then you need to consider, why is this emotion there? I know that I'm feeling it. I'm embracing this feeling, and I'm honoring it, and I know that my body and my soul is trying to tell me something. So maybe interpreting your emotions at this time can be really good, figuring out how you can turn an emotion into something something physical, maybe, because Capricorns are that earth energy. And when I think of earth, I think of something a little bit more solid and physical. So maybe you're journaling, maybe you are creating something, because we are also in that Pisces season. So add a little bit of that creativity in there. Yeah, maybe you're creating a work of art through what you're feeling. So don't be afraid to, even if you're like, I am a horrible artist, you don't have to be a good artist to have an artistic moment, to be creative, right? You can create something without having talent. I also have the Eight of Cups pulled in the tarot and the Page of Wands. And the Eight of Cups does give me a little bit of a Virgo energy in some ways, because I feel like sometimes Virgos can retreat into their mind, because they can at times feel a lot of emotion and analyze things maybe to death. But so there might be maybe a need to retreat for a day, to mentally, emotionally, especially emotionally, do some inner work. Maybe doing some shadow work is important for you at this time. You will know what's important for you in your body. But that Eight of Cups really gives me that energy of like a retreat. Doesn't feel like it's for long, maybe like a day or two, but definitely honoring your emotions in your body and saying, I need to take a day off for my mental, emotional well-being, and I'm going to honor my body and what it's telling me. So definitely taking care of yourself, stepping back from something if you feel like that's what you need to do at this time. But then we also have the Page of Wands, which is all about like this creative burst of energy. It feels like a very sunshiny type of card, in my opinion anyway. In here on this card specifically, there's sunflowers and the sun is peeking out from behind the clouds, and there's a little bit of wind blowing this person's hair, and I just love the energy. He's holding up this wand in the air like he's ready to go on this fun new adventure, this new beginning. So maybe before you fully step into your new beginning, your manifestation that you're working on, maybe that Eight of Cups is here to remind you to do the inner work, do some shadow work, figure out what you need to step away from and let go of, so that you can fully step into this Page of Wands energy, ready for your creative new beginnings as you enter the spring equinox. So that pretty much wraps up all of the wonderful energy that I've been picking up on, and definitely researching for this week ahead for us. And if you have any questions, or if you would like a personal tarot reading or Reiki session, please schedule on www.crystallizewithkate.com, or you can email me at katesmithkors. At oh my gosh, what is my email? Yeah, katesmithkors@gmail.com. So it's www.crystallizewithkate.com. That's the website that you can go to schedule, or katesmithkors@gmail.com is my email. Otherwise, you can direct message me on Facebook. Other than that, I hope you all have a beautiful week ahead,